Hey everybody, it's Diane from Sister with Creations, and I'm starting the live just a little bit early because Facebook has not been very nice as far as working for me this week, so I thought I'd start early just in case there was going to be problems. I got the new shirt, and let me just put my arms out so you guys can see how cool it is. Isn't that awesome? So anyways, I'm loving my new shirt. Tonight we're going to do some different things. We're going to do the readings like we always do, but we're also going to do some Q&A, and I see one person is here. In order to do the readings, my phone has to be a little bit far away from me, so sometimes I can't see it very well. Like right now I can see there's somebody up there, but I can't see who it is. Let me put my glasses on. Oh, it's Lena. Okay, hi Lena. So I'm just a few minutes early just because I didn't know if technology was going to work today. So I can stick my face up in the camera and read a question if anyone has one right now, but I only see a couple people here. So so it's been a funny week. So I'm just going to talk about that until it's time to start. We've just got about 1 minute before we start. So apparently the last 2 nights have been crazy in the dream world. I have had no less than 5 people contact me saying, you know, what is this crazy dream stuff? And I'm not an astrologist, so I can't really identify what the craziness is about. But just know that you're not alone. Lots of people, including myself, have had really strange, weird stress dreams, and which is very strange for me. I almost never have nightmares. So know that you're not alone. I think the collective subconscious is just really stressed out right now, and for whatever reason, people are like more sensitive to it in their dream world. My theory, you know, whatever the solar wind is doing, it affects how we can perceive things, makes us more sensitive than we would normally be sometimes. So I think there's some of that going on. But anyway, just know that you're not alone if you've been having weird, wacky dreams, because everybody seems to be suffering from that this week. And so before we start, maybe we'll do just a little meditation. But I'm going to wait for a few more people to get here. And since this is recorded and the questions that I received are not, like don't have anyone's name on it, so I don't need to wait for them to show up. So I'm going to just address some Q&A here while we're waiting for more people to show up, and then we'll get started. So the first question is, does it matter which way your altar is facing? Like the answer to many questions about spiritual magical practices, yes and no. So it does matter if you believe that it matters. And it does matter if you're in a specific tradition where they want you to have it facing a certain way and you're, you know, following their rules because that's what you're learning. So you'd want it to face a certain way. It really depends on your tradition, and it also is geographical. Depending, like you notice different traditions, they'll start casting their circle, like the place where they start is different from other traditions. Some of that's about geography. So whatever's in the north of us may be different than what's represented, say, in the north of South Africa. And so some of it is geographical according to what they feel is like most important and where you should start. If you're doing an altar to a specific deity, you would maybe want to find out what direction that deity is associated with, like a devotional altar or a request altar. Or if you're doing a spell for a specific thing, like if it's more thought-based than body-based, then you might want to face your altar in the direction that is the thought-based representation in your tradition. So there's no rule either that says you can't have separate altars around your house all facing different directions. You can totally do that. As in magic, the most powerful tool is you and your will. So your altar is important, but it's not more important than you. So if you have a deep belief that it has to face a certain way, then it absolutely has to face that way because that's what you believe. So I'm going to do one more question, and then we'll start with the reading. So the next question was, Somebody says, I always wake up at 3 in the morning. Why? So this is probably an imprint. So imprints are both psychological, emotional, and spiritual. And it just depends. Probably you're waking up at 3 in the morning because at some point in your life something was waking you up at 3 in the morning regularly, and it either became a habit or it is some way connected to a feeling of safety. So it just depends on who you are. Sometimes it could be just like noisy trains went by your house when you were a child, and they went by at 3 in the morning, and it always woke you up, and now it's gone, and so you wake up because you're like, where's the train? There's supposed to be a train. So it all really just depends on what has imprinted you to wake up at 3 in the morning. So it's something that you would have to investigate a little bit and see for you, because it's going to be different for everyone. There's no set reason that people wake up at a certain time in the morning. So if it's not hurting you, if it's not damaging you or bothering you at all, I wouldn't worry about it. Unless it's causing you stress, then maybe you should see if there's something under there that needs to be resolved, like past trauma or something. So not everybody got to see my new shirt. I'm very excited about my new shirt. So I'm going to hold my arms up, and like it's one of those big, I want to say moo-moo, but that's not the right word, kimono style shirts, but it's got birds, and down here there's a peacock. It's super cool. Anyway, I'm very excited about my new shirt. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the readings because we've given people time to show up. And so as always, if you didn't sign up for a reading, then you would choose a number. We're going to do 5 readings tonight, so you have the choice numbers between 1 and 5 if you didn't already previously sign up. And you would pick that number before we start the readings, and I'll do like a prayer to make it so that whatever number you pick, there's going to be special important message in there for what do you need to know. So if everyone will join me, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the recording, with a prayer or a setting of intent, that everyone who sees these readings will get the highest benefit for themselves and everyone connected. And so it is, and so it will be. Okay, so client number 1, your name starts with a J. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start to draw the cards, and we're just going to do our thing. Okay, so the theme card for you is dysfunction. So I feel like this is a new awareness for you. Like you've known there's problems in the past, and you've known like sometimes you get caught in a dysfunctional loop. And I feel like this is really troubling for you. Like this is like the focus of your mind a lot, is why am I stuck that way? Why does that keep happening? I want to break free of this. Let me go. I just want to be like normal. What you don't realize is that there's no such thing as normal. Everybody has problems that are dysfunctional. So try to think about it like that we all have these issues, and that's okay that you're struggling with it, because you're going to learn from it. You want to watch out for drugs, alcohol, and abusive relationships right now at this point in your life. They're probably still going to be drawn to you, whatever your dysfunction is that you were sort of bringing to yourself before. You're still going to keep doing that, but now like try to have a new awareness of it. Try to be like, how can I do this differently? Change the question in your mind. You're going to find yourself saying something like, why does this always happen to me? Or why do I always feel like this? That's going to happen, but when it does, say, no, let's change the question to how can I learn from this? How can I have a healthier relationship, a healthier life, a healthier whatever. So when you catch yourself saying over and over again, why, change the question to something healthy, like how can I learn from this? What am I missing? What do I need to know about this dysfunctional stuff today that helps me break free of it? Because I feel like that's really your goal right now, is you want to let go of some of this, and you're just really mad that you keep getting sucked back into something, and you're just like, I know better, and I still keep kind of doing it, and it's just making me so frustrated. So know that it's a learning process, and humor can help you to like take some of that sort of staying out of it. I'm going to look in your spiritual life now. What I see there is the teacher. So you've made a lot of progress. You were the student before, and now there's a lesson that you're learning, and you're coming to the end of that lesson and like congratulations, you. This was like work that was emotionally draining for you, but you're making progress, so just keep going. And whenever you feel troubled and you don't know what to do, and you're asking mind and body and emotion, and it doesn't answer you, like it doesn't give you the comfort that you're looking for, go look to spirit, because that's where it is for you right now, is in spirit. Which by that I mean your own spiritual practice. Over here at what occupies the mind, waiting for something to happen, waiting for changes, waiting for plans to come out and be like the way that you planned them. And the news that's coming is that the timetable, the universe doesn't care about your plans, timetable-wise. Like, certain pieces have to be in certain places for whatever it is that you're wanting to organize to happen. And so there's not a lot you can do to like force that and still have it come out the way it's supposed to, because other people still haven't made up their mind, or other like moving parts have to be in a certain place. However, this is the card of planting something and then harvesting it, so you are going to get something out of whatever you've been thinking about. It's just not going to go along the schedule that you were hoping for. So yeah, so don't give up on that. In your material and physical world, the card of vulnerability and safety and protection is there, so particularly as it is related to the body, and also to finances and property. So you want to know that you are going to be skillfully making yourself vulnerable, not making yourself vulnerable in a way where you're making a victim out of yourself. So don't do that. No more victim. Being skillfully vulnerable has to do with opening yourself willfully and with awareness, and knowing if it's a place that you're really vulnerable, you don't know what you're doing, or you really feel like threatened, then knowing maybe now's not the time to make yourself quite so vulnerable. But if you do find a situation, as we always say with this card, if you know that you're taking a risk and then you get the short end of the stick anyway, don't be acting like the victim. You knew that that could happen and you did it anyway, and you need to take responsibility for that and dust yourself off and get up and move on. And next time that kind of choice comes, you need to choose differently so that you're taking better care of yourself. And you've been struggling with this and you've been doing really well. So just like I hear the word backsliding, or if you've made some choices and you're just like, I made a mistake, that's okay. Forgive yourself and move on, because if you don't forgive yourself, it keeps you from moving on. So let go of embarrassment or shame or guilt, and just forgive yourself and move on, and just vow that you're going to do better in the future. And then we come to the emotional part. You've been doing some work emotionally, and it shows up in your spiritual, the way that your spiritual life functions. The two are playing off of each other. People are going to look to you in recent, either this has already happened or it's going to very soon. People will be looking at you for support, and you will have the emotional strength to do it. Just make sure that you're taking good care of yourself as well. You are way emotionally stronger than you realize. So maybe try to step back and give yourself credit. Like, I see, like, look at all you've been through. Look at all the stuff that's happened to you. And how much of that was difficult, and you're still here. And so, like, look what you've been through, and here you are today. Look how strong you are. Look how far you've come in the last 20 years is the message I hear there. So now we're going to draw a couple of cards for these cards that are inverted, just to say what helps with that, or two that help with that, because that's how many came out of the deck. So the first one was this: something dysfunctional. Something you're struggling with potentially turns into addiction or avoidance behavior, so it could be a little dangerous. It's like something that you really want to balance this out and correct it, because it causes suffering in your life. So the answer is you continuing to look for it somewhere else, and you need to look for it inside of yourself. And you are beginning to learn how to do that. That's what's making your spiritual vibration change a little bit. So it's very much about like trusting yourself and knowing and using tools that are available to you to explore yourself, because the answers are in there. You just, at this point, maybe you haven't discovered how to find it out, what's in there. Like, so any exercises, meditation or breathing or journaling or art therapy, stuff like that, that helps you sort of explore your inner landscape, you're going to find the pieces that are missing to the puzzle that crack your problems open, is sort of what I see. And so don't give up, keep striving forward, because you have nothing to lose in striving forward. So keep going forward, keep trying, don't give up. Then I said, tell us more about this, what's going on in the material and physical world for you. And what it is that you're trying to find a healthy way. This is literally, the cards sometimes make a sentence for me. So it's saying, your vulnerability, you want to be healthy in doing so, and you're waiting, when is it going to be the right time to be vulnerable in a healthy way? That has to do with body, but also finances. And I feel like this is connected to choices that you make in relation to other people. I'm afraid that the answer is just that you have to wait. The card of cycles upside down indicates, like I was saying with the other card, moving parts and pieces and things that need to happen for the process to move forward. However, time, it just takes time. So there's plenty of stuff for you to work on, plenty of moments in the present that are these little, like a universe inside of a water droplet. There's plenty of moments that you can go into that are beautiful and perfect and wonderful, that you can be doing that while you're waiting for this to happen. There's just a few more pieces that need to fall into place is all. And those pieces have relationship to healing wounds that you've been working on. So maybe you're just not quite ready yet, and I know you've been wanting to be ready for a really long time, and it just seems like, oh my God, it's never going to be done. And it's okay that it feels like that. That's just like the way that this kind of healing feels. The next one is to give yourself the opportunity to know that it's all right to need safety and stability. Like, I feel like people have made you feel like you're being whiny when you ask for safety and stability, and to feel emotionally safe as well. And they're gaslighting you. It's perfectly, absolutely acceptable for you to want to be safe and stable and to not have your life be a roller coaster. But people will drag you down that roller coaster if you don't learn to start saying no to some of the drama, and to really just stop during the drama and take a breath and just be like, what is this really about for me? Don't worry about them. What is it about for you? Why are you there? Why are you in that drama? It's serving you in some way, or you wouldn't be there. So there's something to be learned from that. And then the card of karma. The card of karma is just a big encouragement card. It's about choices, it's about causes and effect, but most important, it's about power. So the power to be working your path, be walking your path, be taking those steps, because you are going somewhere. You just can see your goal so clearly that it's hard to take the little steps in between the two mountains. So you got because we're humans, and they don't allow us to jump from one mountaintop to the next. We actually have to walk down the hill and then walk up the mountain again. So that's the end of reading number 1. So I'm going to stir the deck. While I stir the deck, I'm going to answer another one of these questions. Okay, so somebody says, I can only do 2 or 3 readings a day for other people, and then I'm completely exhausted. How do you do 5 in an hour and not die? So you're not doing it right. The way that you do readings, or any energy work or healing or spell work or anything, prayer work, visualization work, any of that stuff that uses your spiritual energy or your psychic energy, you want to be doing that not with your own personal energy. So if you're getting really exhausted, there could be 2 things that are going on. One of them is reading in those circumstances that you are reading in under those circumstances is contrary to who you really are. So something about the situation is wrong and not right for you, and does not express the beauty of the soul of who you truly are. And so it's going contrary to who you are as an authentic soul being. And so you're getting exhausted because it's the universe trying to tell you that something about that situation is wrong, like as in it's holding you back and it's not right for you. The other possibility is you have a natural psychic gift, and you have learned to use that instinctually by using your own spiritual and body energy to do the readings. And so you're pushing and spending your own energy, and that is not how you're supposed to do it. What you're supposed to do is allow universal sort of pure energy to come into you, and then that energy is where the readings come through, and then you don't have to burn up your own energy for it. This kind of energy, whenever we have a peaceful and rightly aligned void of where we're not being like humanly dysfunctional, like when I'm doing these readings, I forget about everything else in my life. There is nothing else. I'm just here and it's peaceful. And when you do that, the universe will be like, ooh, a void where healing energy can go, and it'll just fill you up. So that is one way, and sort of my opinion on reasons that you might be getting tired after doing a few readings. I can go for about 18 hours before I start to get tired. My butt gets tired of sitting in the chair, and sometimes I lose my voice. But I don't get very tired, and it's the same with Reiki practitioners and other healers. They can do it for a really long time because they're touching that energy that built the universe when they're doing the readings, and they're doing so in a way that's completely sort of centered in goodness, and so then you don't get tired. Alright, I'm going to stir this up, and client number 2, your name also starts with a J, but the last letter in your name is an N, just in case you forgot your spot. So I'm not seeing a whole bunch of people there. If you're there, if you could hit the like or something to show me that you're there, because usually I see more of what the viewers are. But they just updated the app that lets us do stuff like this through our pages, and I'm like confused by it. So, but I always like it when you put loves and likes and whatever those other little colored things are. Okay, so. Reading number 2, this is for everyone who chose number 2, or the person who signed up for it. It's obviously for you. Your first initial in your name is J, and the last letter in your first name is N. So let's just see what's going on. Okay, so the theme for you right now is hope and positive attitudes. So try to find the good in things. Some neat stuff coming to you somehow in your life. So I feel like some changes are going to happen, and it's going to feel like kind of funny and unbalanced. Oh, I see a heart. Hi. But keep going forward with your life, because it's not as bad as you think. Like, you're going to regain your balance. So that's what I see as a theme right now, is keep a good attitude, hope. Nothing is as bad as it really might seem right now. And I feel something that I'm supposed to tell you. Okay. If you lose one of your dreams, to just make a new one. Just so if you've lost a path, path you thought you had, or something, just make a new one. You don't have to be like, I have to have it certain, absolutely like that thing I was attached to. You can just make a new choice, make a new dream, make a new plan. In your spiritual life, delving in to find the other parts of you. Oh, look, I see a whole bunch of hearts. So in your spiritual life, delving into finding the other pieces of you. You felt unwhole spiritually for a while, and you're going to be finding like pieces that they weren't truly missing, like soul fragments. They never really get disconnected from our soul in the way people think, but it's about their lack of ability to integrate and function, and most importantly, that we don't have the ability to sense that they're there and interact with them. So I feel like some of your child self needs to be retrieved, and when you do this, you need to be absolutely gentle in accepting that, and know that The message I hear, everybody does the best that they can always with the choices that are in front of them. Nobody looks at their choices and says, oh, I think I'll pick the most terrible one. Whatever happened, it's because it seemed like a good idea at the time, so try to be forgiving and kind. You'll be balancing out your spiritual life to where your conscious and subconscious mind have a better rapport. But you have to be doing some spiritual practice for that to happen, so don't neglect that spiritual practice, because stuff is like waiting to blossom, and your higher self is all like ready to work with you, so go with that, because it's a really big important thing spiritually. Over here on what occupies the mind, new projects, new life, new things. So this is like the card of the incubated, so it could be about babies, children, or new projects, or inner child. I see a bunch of floating little thumbs now. Thank you. At least I think they're thumbs. I think that's the blue ones are. So I'm trying to feel if this is about actual babies or about inner children, and I keep getting just like both. But it's also, there's a lot of stuff going on in your mind. like you just really want to make new choices. I feel like you're ready for a bunch of new stuff to happen and changes, but just to know that don't rush too much. It'll be born, whatever it is, when it's supposed to be. But it's okay that you're thinking about it. You just don't need to stress about it. In the physical world, material world, property and finances, something is out of balance. I feel like my first hit is this is something about your body, but I feel like it affects some of the other parts of your material world too. And the message I hear is like, just fix it. Just try to restore that balance as best you can. We'll come back and ask about that. In your emotional self, the dreamer card. So this is saying, A, get enough sleep, because if you don't, your emotional self is going to be cranky. You also need to process things while you're sleeping. Your emotional stuff gets processed while you're sleeping. You may have it going on in your dreams symbolically as you work out the stresses and the things in your life that you're trying to learn to deal with or cope with or release. It's a great card, though, to have there. It's right side up. It also talks about huge amounts of creativity, ideas, solutions, and like beautiful visions coming to you in your dreams. And so just know that that's an important part of how your emotional self functions, is that that subconscious dream world is there for you. Now we're going to draw one here about this imbalance. And it says, the mysteries shall be revealed. Is there anything else we should know? It's about you and yourself and learning to take better care of yourself, choices that you make. The mysteries revealed is always a positive card, because it always is like, here's the last piece of that puzzle that you've been struggling with. We found it under the couch. So don't despair. Just know that sometimes in order to have a new balance happen, the old balance has to get sort of shaken up a little bit. So keep being true to yourself, being the best you can be, and also making choices to provide for yourself and your body, and your finances, making those right choices to serve you and not putting a bunch of other people's wants before your own. And that will work itself out. So I'm going to do a couple things that help you move forward here. The first one is to keep a healthy attitude, like we're saying, the card of hope. Your healthy attitude is directly connected to your healthy body. So you want to be, if you catch yourself doing this, stop doing that. Stand up straight, sit up straight, look at what you're thinking about when you're slouching and being sad, and so change the physical. It'll help you change your attitude. So if you're feeling sad, and I can say, so-and-so is off screen over here. So-and-so is super sad. What do you think they look like as they stand there? We're all going to imagine someone slouching, look at their feet, have a frown on their face, right? because that's telling our subconscious, let's be sad. So sometimes, I mean, it's not going to get rid of real emotions that have to be processed, but if you're obsessively going back to a place that affects your body because you're like, ugh, stop doing that. Stand up straight, think about something else, do something else. Whatever it is you're focusing on, focus on something else for a while. It gives you a break from being in that place of whether it's sadness or despair or depression or whatever. And it, like I said, it puts your mind and your body together on hopeful things. And while you may not be able to maintain that every minute because no one can, having those little breaks where you are thinking about good things, it changes some of your vibration, which changes your choices, which changes how people react to you, which changes your life. So, the card of inner strength. So, this is basically the card that says, you got this, you have the strength to do this, you have it under control. You just may not be aware that you have everything it takes to get through this, but you do. Expect some positive chaos in your life. Know that chaos is not always destructive. Many people just absolutely hate change, but once they're through it, to the other side of the change, they're like, oh, look where I am. This is so much better than where I used to be. So try to just keep a really good attitude. I see many cards here telling me that that's really important for you. All right, we're going to pull these in, and I'm going to shuffle while I answer a question. Do I let people touch my deck? And they've heard that you shouldn't let other people touch your deck. Personally, I think that's nonsense. But, again, mystical, magical, subconscious stuff is all connected to belief, right? So if you've been trained in a tradition where no one's supposed to touch your cards, and you really believe that, then no one's supposed to touch your cards. But if you bought us like a secondhand deck, nothing bad is going to happen. That's just silly. Cellophane is not a supernatural barrier that keeps bad energy off of your cards, right? Because your cards are just a tool. They're just paper like any other paper. They become powerful when we use them, not because they're sitting on a shelf. And they become powerful because of how we use them. So, you know, I've often wanted to say, you know, supernatural. People think that cellophane is a supernatural barrier, and I'm like, so does that explain all the hauntings in the Middle Ages? Because they hadn't invented cellophane yet. But the answer is, no, it's about your will. Your will is what keeps the cards clean or adjusted to the next reading, keeps bad energy off them. You'll see that I do this with mine, or I shuffle. Each time I do that, they're clean, starting over fresh, unconnected from the person we just read for. So it's up to you. If you notice that you feel really uncomfortable when other people are touching your cards, then maybe don't let other people touch them. So it's all about how you feel about it and what you believe about it. My cards were meant to touch people. They're supposed to touch all the subconscious in the universe. That's how they work. So it doesn't bother me when people touch them. All right, so let's do client number 3, or if you chose the number 3 and your name begins with an F and you are named after a goddess. So we're going to do theme, spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. So the mysteries are opening for you. So this is that's kind of a big deal to have as a theme. So it's saying secrets of the universe, secrets mostly of how you work, of how your soul grows. They were kind of hidden before, and now it's like things are opening to you. So realization, synchronicities, powerful magic going on. Now's a great time if you were thinking that I should do a spell for such and such, or I should do some praying about whatever. Do it, because the manifestation energy comes along with the opening of the mysteries. In your spiritual life, there's something sort of like, I'm trying to explain it in a way that makes sense for the spiritual life. Okay, be careful that your spiritual practices are serving your body correctly. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm going to ask another question later. It might have to do with making sure that you're grounded after working. Stuff all over the planet is changing. Some people get used to grounding into the earth vibration the way it used to be in certain places on the planet, and then they go to ground in on it and it feels different, and they're not connecting the way they used to, and that's okay, because that's just because everything is shifting right now. So we'll come back and ask more about that. So in what occupies the mind, teachers and students and relaying of information and being clear and learning stuff, and it's like you striving for some sort of expertise. There's something you just really want to understand, and so logically you spend time thinking about it, and the reason that you're spending this much time is whatever it is, it has to make sense. Like we often say in the readings, it needs to make sense to your mind, it needs to feel good in your heart, and it needs to be inspiring to your soul. And so you're working on a process like that, and you have achieved some understanding that you didn't have before. I feel like that's what's part of this spiritual awakening, kind of, that's sort of a theme for you. What occupies the spot that represents physical body, money, and property is the card of the Sun Father. So this is the male energy, so be like, my shirt, the horned god. So this is either going to involve a man so it begins with father figures, but it's a big concept, just like Mother Earth is a big concept. So this could be a partner who's a strong father figure kind of energy. It could be a brother or a friend, but I feel like there's somehow in your physical world something revolving around stuff like that. Also, this card represents being provided for, the way that the horned god provides bounty, or the way that Christians, we see the Heavenly Father providing bounty. So it's a positive card, indicates good things happening, and but it is going to have some heavy male energy going on there. And then in your emotional self is the card of the Wise Man. And it's the Wise Man upright. So the Wise Man upright is very much about a journey into the self to find the answers that you seek within yourself. Finding them inside automatically draws the synchronicity of bringing it, whatever is supposed to come with those answers, in your physical world. So I want to say, like, it's time for a vision quest about those emotional things that you've been wondering about and working on. It's time for an internal journey, because you weren't ready before, but you are now. And then just remember that in that kind of work, whenever you are crossing a large body of water, or running water, or even a large mud puddle, it's happened to me before where a mud puddle represents it. That is the representation in our deep subconscious that kind of goes across humanity of entering into the subconscious realm. So I just feel like you need to hear that. So we're going to draw one. What's going on with this spiritual thing? Oh, okay. And then we're going to say 3 things that help you move forward. Okay, so the spiritual thing, stop feeling like your imagination isn't sacred. So if there's anything where you're like, oh, I just imagined it, or oh, it's I'm just thinking that, I just visualized it, it isn't really magical, it isn't really spiritual, that isn't true. Our imagination is a sacred paintbrush, and so treat it as such. Also telling me, quit wearing your body out. Somehow you're doing something that's wearing your body out, and that's making some things difficult for you. Also, be aware that things are coming to you in your dreams, and I feel like with you, they're rushing at you like a flowing stream, whether you are ready for it or not. Here it comes. That's the mysteries opening. Sometimes the mysteries opening can feel weird and threatening, so stop and analyze, because I recently had a friend talk to me about a dream they had, and they said they were being chased. And I'm like, well, were you afraid? And they're like, well, yeah, I was afraid at first, but then I'm like, did they catch you and hurt you? And they were like, No, they just put their hands on my face and like patted me, and I'm like, oh, well, that's a vision dream. That's so sometimes we have that reaction when it's time to change, when spiritual stuff is happening. So if you have that going on, stop and look at it logically. Like if nothing truly terrible happened, then you're probably fine, and it's probably just a change dream. 3 things that help you move forward more quickly is scrutinize travel plans. And if you're going to sacrifice something in order to get something you really, really want, be sure that you can live without whatever that is that you're giving up, or you will be very sad afterwards because you won't be able to get it back. Safety and stability, particularly in the material world, those things are important right now. I feel like this might be related to dwelling spaces, maybe. But somehow there's something that either needs to be corrected, cleaned, or changed that gives you a better feeling of safety and stability and sort of protection from the elements, kind of a thing, is what it feels like. And then the card of balance. So know that if you learn to recognize when you're out of balance, particularly you as an individual, so that you can correct that, because I feel like sometimes you're so busy helping other people or doing for others, by the time you notice that you're out of balance, it can be like, then it's really hard for you. So try to be noticing that sooner, and drink more water is apparently what it says. So sometimes the messages I get are just so funny. So that is the end of reading number 3. And I'm going to look at another question here. I wrote them really big so I could see them without my glasses. Why don't you just teach us magic in the lives? That would be fun. What makes you think I'm not doing that already? Yeah, we could totally do that. Yeah, leave some comments. If y'all want to cast a circle with me sometime on a live, we can all do it together. That would be pretty fun. I have a care package spell where it's meant for, and I use the word spell, but it's also a prayer. So if you're not into spells, it would be a prayer, where like we would all think of a comforting thing, and then we would imagine it into a little package, and then we release it to everyone else who's doing the spell, and then we would each receive a little warm package of love from the other people. It sounds cheesy, but when you do it, it's actually quite wonderful. So if you would like to do live magic with me and like learn a little bit, just little things about core magic is what I teach, so it fits into any tradition. Leave some comments there. Either in the live, or if you're watching the recording, then leave comments on the recording, because I could do that, especially now that I know that people want that. Okay, so reading number 4, your name begins with an R, and we're just going to move into doing that one here. I feel like I need to cut the deck a little bit more, though. Okay. Okay, so for you, the focus right now is, darn it, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it. So this is kind of an overall emotional feeling of disillusionment and sadness. Oh, and this is a really painful loneliness. And you've been just kind of living with it. But it's, yeah, it's pretty overpowering. Like it makes me want to cry just touching it. So that's a hard thing. So let's move to the next station, and we'll see if, if we can give you a little direction on that, a little like what can you do to help this not be so difficult, and that to help that so it's this loneliness that you've kind of been cramming down for a long time, and it's getting heavier and heavier the more you do that. So in your spiritual life, expect an ebb and flow of spiritual energy. Expect if you start some new spiritual practices, expect it to be like the ocean tide. There's going to be times where you just don't want to do anything, and you kind of are in that place right now, spiritually. And that's okay. It's okay to just be still. Then you'll feel the energy move, and then you will feel like doing things. And it doesn't have to be spirituality according to anyone else except you. So whatever makes you spiritually happy is the thing that you can do to enliven your spiritual life. Just know that it's going to probably be connected to the moon and probably come in a flow. But it's just important that you remember that you can turn to that. Then I'm looking in now at your what occupies the logical mind, and this I see you're looking for the truth, and you are looking for relationships of trust, and you're spending some logical time thinking about what is the true path, what am I supposed to do next, what is the truth in this. And I feel like there's going to be some things coming to you where you are going to have to question that truth, but the card is right side up, and so that's saying, this is a positive view on truth that you have, so keep your positive way of looking for the truth going, because it's good for you and it's working. In the realm of finances, the body and property, we have the wise man inverted, and again that's always indicating like the answer is inside of you, and you just have to have the confidence to go in there and find it. I feel like you spend a lot of time worrying about money and finances and property. Okay, we'll come back and ask for more help with that, but just to know, like there's more that you can do, more answers you can find. You just haven't figured out how to find them yet. Part of it might be a deep subconscious block that you have, where someone once told you you couldn't do something, or you couldn't be free, or you couldn't own it, whatever it is, and somehow that's in your mind, and so you don't even know that maybe you're sabotaging yourself just a little bit. I feel like that connects to the body too. That there's little bitty patterns of sabotage going on that are so hard to see because they're so subtle. But what they do is they stop you from taking the little steps that lead to the bigger steps that lead to the biggest steps that fix the problem. So we'll come back to that. In your emotional center is the card of grace and strength. And this is really where you shine emotionally. It really reflects your soul, even though you often feel troubled. You just have this grace about you, and people are really attracted to that, which is not always a good thing. I feel like sometimes they take advantage of you because of that. But we're gonna talk about this as a positive card, so it's it doesn't have a reverse, and it's always beautiful. And so I feel like whenever you feel like you're being emotionally weak, to think about that design, and that you are beautiful and strong and unbreakable. And that's directly because your soul connection with your emotions is really strong. Your higher self really connects to you through your emotions, which is sometimes why your emotions are so draining for you, is because you're not realizing that it's your higher self trying to communicate with you. All right, let's ask, what about this feeling of disillusionment and sadness, and what can help with it? And then in the physical and material world. Okay, so the feeling of disillusionment and sadness, it felt like destruction, in a really negative way, like chaos and destruction. And but in reality, it was just the course of life, and life is like that. And it was just like a storm that blew through your life. And even though it wasn't fun, for whatever reason, that's just the way it is. The card of chaos, right side up, always says, look for new opportunities that have come to you because of this disillusionment or loss. There are new opportunities, but you have to be watching for them. there are things that you are now going to consider doing that you wouldn't have in the past without this chaos that's come to you, or without this disillusionment that's come to you. So be looking for those. You can steer the ship, but you can't really avoid the chaos, because life is kind of made out of chaos, and so it's sort of impossible to avoid it. And then the card of potential. So huge potentials for change, which I feel like you cringe when I say that. Change. New change. But it'll be change that you'll be happy you're there once you get there. So, but just know that the opportunities that are going to come to you because of things changing, you have to do something to turn that potential into something for yourself. And so you need to be a little bit more selfish than you have been in the past about this. You need to be like, what's in it for me? It is not okay anymore for you to get the short end of the stick. So you need to be asking, like, am I providing for myself very well? Because that's what you need to be doing. And then I asked about this financial and things with the body, and something just isn't right there. It's probably going to have to do with housing. So this is the card of the pavilion. And it represents shelter and being anchored and stability. So of course, if that is sort of feeling threatened, then that's going to really be difficult, because nobody likes to not feel secure about where they're going to dwell. However, the card is right side up, so I think it's probably going to be okay. And then it says what really helps with this is be the wise woman that you are. Speak out, tell people things. If you don't know the answers to things, start demanding that experts tell you the answers and show you where to find them. Because holding your tongue is not going to help anything. Being sort of that assertive, I almost want to say, like, someone is treating you as though they have the authority, but in reality, they're supposed to be treating you like you have the authority. So sort of take confidence in your own authority. Start advocating for yourself. If you feel like you don't know how to do that, then maybe it's time to go and find an advocate who specializes in advocating for people, and have them advocate for you, or have them teach you how to advocate more for yourself. Because you're really worth it. You deserve the best. You deserve better than what you've received, and advocate for yourself from that perspective. I deserve things that are wonderful. Because you do. Okay. So now we're going to see, do I have a question left? Do I have to cast a circle every day for my home to be protected? No, you do not. So there's a thing called threshold magic. Threshold magic is a natural occurrence. It's why you go into houses of people who've never cast a circle in their lives, and it just feels nice and you want to stay there. It's the natural boundary that we build on a subconscious and spiritual level around the place that we live. So the happier the place is, the more strong-willed the person who lives there, the stronger the threshold spell is going to be. However, you can cast one, you can do rituals, you can engage in subconscious things, setting the boundaries or whatever, to have it be a certain way, or to sort of strengthen what's already there, to put it around a business, which is a public place, and threshold spells are a little bit more difficult there, because you have so many people coming and going, but it's not impossible. So you don't need to cast a circle every day. If you're worried about your circle losing its charge, and you find that that's a belief that you can't release, because I just believe that mine is charged all the time, and so it is. But if you have a hard time believing that, you can link your spell to something like, every time the wind blows, my circle gets some energy. Every time the sun shines, my circle gets some energy. And that's how I started mine. And then you don't really have to think about it. And then when you do recast it, it should be sort of a celebration of joy, of this is my space and here I am. And that goes a long way into making an incredibly good boundary around the house. Now for spells, that's a whole different story. when you're doing a spell, you want a container to hold that energy until you've told it everything you want it to bring back to you, and then you release it out of the container. So if you're doing sacred healing work or spell work, then you want to cast a special circle for that, just to hold that energy in there and give it an extra sacred blessing and cleansing and balancing kind of space. So it does depend, kind of like altars, what the purpose is. Okay, so thank you for all of the little blue circles. I think they're thumbs up, I think is what they are. Alright, so number 5, your name starts with an I, and we're going to go ahead and do your reading, and then after that reading I think we'll be concluded, since I've answered most of the questions. There might be one more, I can't really see it from here. Alright, so I'm going to need to cut the deck one more time. Okay. Okay, for you, the theme right now is going to be releasing something that you probably weren't ready to let go of. Yeah, it feels kind of like grief. I'm not getting a sense of what it is right now, but you haven't finished preparing to release it. So, some kind of something that you wanted to keep and you didn't get to keep it the way that you wanted to keep it, and so you'll be in a process of releasing. This is because you're going to move on, so it's not like a terrible harbinger or anything. It's just saying something's going to get released because it's no longer there, or it's no longer working for you. In your spiritual center is the card of harvest. So that tells me a couple of things about your probable functioning of your spiritual self. One of them is that you're a seasonal functioner, so you function according to the seasons. Your spiritual practices will be better, will be easier for you, and you will feel more powerful in them if you're doing them according to the seasons. So in the spring you want to look at springtime, and that should be the theme of your practice, and so forth, and summer and winter and all that. Also to know that your spiritual practice works in a one-year cycle, so some of the things you've been wanting to do with spirituality or your own personal path, things that you planted a year ago, you'll be harvesting them. Things you're planting now, ideas, spiritual goals, or practices that you really want to become an expert in, one growing season, 1 year, and you will harvest the goodness from that. So the card is right side up. This also tells me that you will find great spiritual peace in gardening and herbalism and plants and being outdoors. Like the soil and the plants, that's a special thing for your soul, like for whatever reason, that gives you peace. And so remember to turn there when you feel spiritually lost, and it will help you. In what occupies the mind, keeping the balance. I feel like some worry about that. How do I keep the balance? And why can't it just stay balanced? Why do I have to keep redoing it? That's just the way that your life is. You're just going to have to keep redoing it. But that's sort of the way everyone's life is. So it's not nothing signaling that you're different than anyone else. So we'll come back and we'll ask about how do you keep the balance. And this might be about balance of academics and balance of personal life, but I feel like there's some more than that going on. In the physical world, property, money, and the body, there's something that you're not telling someone, that you're holding your tongue about or candy coating, and it's disempowering you in some way, either with employment or with finances or with health. So something you need to speak out about, and when you do, it corrects some of the situation. So this is the wise woman inverted, and the wise woman inverted is always saying don't give your power away because you are afraid of hurting someone's feelings. So speak the truth as you see it, and it doesn't matter if your truth is a mistake or not. People need to know what your perceptions are, because if what you have perceived isn't correct, they can't correct you if you don't tell them what you think you see. So very much like you need to speak your truth especially when it comes to finances, career, property, and the body. And then emotionally, there's some blossoming coming from you. It's like you're about ready to just have this emotional growth happen. It's not going to take long for quick changes to happen. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you go to bed one night contemplating something about your life, and you wake up in the morning and you are just like, and I'm different now. So quick changes going on with the emotions, but in a really healthy way, and I just feel like you would need to see the card. So it's like a really powerful, energized little seed growing. So now we're going to ask some questions about what is this about grief and letting go, and what helps with it. And then what about the speaking out and the wise woman inverted. Okay, so the wise woman inverted one, someone is causing you chaos, and you're letting them, and stop doing that. You're really trying to heal this sort of, it feels like, almost like you're drawn into some kind of craziness, some kind of chaos or drama or something. It's like fascinating to you, and so you keep going there. You're striving to find a place to go there where you can observe and help without getting sucked in. And you do need to be careful, because the things that you've really been working on healing, you don't want to start that cycle again of having to start all over. And so so you just want to be careful, and know that during times of chaos or stress, don't let yourself go into autopilot so much so that you're making unconscious choices that you're not aware of, because they could be programmed choices that are mistakes that you have made in the past, and you don't want to make those same mistakes again. So you need to be very careful about that. And you know the healing that needs to happen in order to resolve this. So I feel like you just stand strong with what you know about being healthy about it, and it's going to work out, but you do need to speak your mind about it. Alright, so then we're going to address this loss or the end of something that you just really were like, I was so not ready for that to be done. So the first one is the teacher and the student. So somehow learning and teaching is involved in this. And what really can help with it is the card of the moon. So the card of the moon is all about knowing, first of all, that it comes in cycles. You're going to have a flow to it, up and down, sort of like the tide. The moon is the right side up, the facing the right way. It's not inverted. So, excuse me, that tells me that if you're romanticizing something, that's okay. Just make sure that you're doing it in a realistic way where you're finding the real beauty, and then you're celebrating it, and you're finding the real music, and you're celebrating it, and you're finding, you're loving what is the phrase that comes to me. And go out and touch what is, go out and find what is, go out and feel it and enjoy it and celebrate it. This feels like love. I'm not feeling a distinction between romantic love and other kinds of love. It just feels like soul love. And so embrace the love, I guess, is the message there, and try to focus on the love. And that brings you through this, whatever this loss was, to where you come out the other side. And many times with grief, what happens is we don't release it. We don't get closure. Sometimes closure is just like what people say, when you've become strong enough. But what you do is you grow bigger around that burden of grief. And as you grow bigger, then you'll be able to carry that burden of grief, because sometimes our losses will always be with us, and that's okay. And you need to let it be okay. And you just keep growing until carrying it is okay with you. So I'm going to do 3 things that help your life along the way go more smoothly, and then after that, we've gone longer than we normally do, so we'll probably be saying goodbye. So the first thing that helps your life to go more smoothly is community that you hang out with that is not good for you. Stop hanging out with them. or if you do have to be around them, don't invest in it. If you're around someone and then you come home after hanging out with them for the day and you feel like crap about yourself or your life or your situation or whatever, you don't need to be around that. Find something else to do, somebody else to hang out with, because you need community that lifts you up. And if you have community that's tearing you down, even if they don't mean to, then you need to have a break from that and have more community that lifts you up. The next card is Truth and Trust. So when you have a voice in your head telling you something negative about yourself or something that causes you suffering, stop and ask yourself, can I know that that is really true? I can think of one of my friends who says to themselves, I'm stupid and ugly. To which I want to say, is that really true? Do you know beyond a shadow of a doubt in the entire universe and God and everything that that's true? And of course, the answer is no. But it doesn't change that you feel that way, but exploring whether it's true or not gives you a new perspective. It gives you more details about it. You'll find proof in your mind that you are ugly and stupid. But guess what? If you keep looking, you'll find proof in your mind that you are beautiful and wonderful. And it works the same way no matter what your negative voice is saying, is that look for the truth, and you'll almost always find that if it's causing you a lot of pain in some way, it's not true, and that's part of why it hurts so much. And then the final card for you is partners. So maybe you were taught that you needed a lot of community, but what you really need is one really good partner, or two, like maybe just a few little partners. So the card of partnership is a really pretty one. It's one of my favorite ones. The card of partnership is about equal give and take and balance in our partnerships, having to do with personal and business and friends and lovers and whatever. So be looking for that balanced relationships and gravitate to the ones that you serve that person, but they also serve you, and there's an equal give and take. And what you can be weak and vulnerable because you know that they'll come and be strong for you, and vice versa, that they can be weak and vulnerable and you can be strong for them. Focusing on those things will help you move forward and help you do it in a more smooth way. So this has been Dianne from Sister Earth Creations. And if you enjoyed your reading, you can go to my Facebook page, which is Sister Earth Creations, with that symbol in front of it. And you can leave me a review saying that you enjoyed your reading, and I would really appreciate that. You can learn more about the services I offer at sisterearthcreations.com. I also have an Etsy shop, also called Sister Earth Creations, where I do small readings that I deliver in email or with a recording. And so if you find that in-person long involved reading is not fit your budget, there are very affordable ones on my Etsy shop, and I believe there are even some here on Facebook. Like, I tried to make that up work. I think that they went up. As always, we will be here every other week. So do send me more questions if you have them. People really seem to be enjoying it all the way around, hearing the answers to those questions. And then if you all are into some live Let's Do Magic Together videos, also leave your comments about saying yes that you want to do that, and if there's a specific subject that you wanted to, like cast a circle, do a cleansing ritual, whatever, let me know, because I am totally up for that one. Alright, it's great to have you. I just want to do one more thing. I want to stand up so that y'all can see my beautiful shirt. But I also feel like it wouldn't be the internet if there wasn't somehow a cat involved. So this is our cat. That's not really our cat. This is the cat that adopted us. I know I woke her up. How dare I? She doesn't actually live with us. She lives in the neighborhood, but she often uses our bed and breakfast. So I will post this as a recording, so that if you didn't get here in time to see the entire thing, that you can watch it. Or if you wanted a reading and you didn't get one, you can always go back and choose from the ones 1 through 5 and pick a number, because we did a prayer for that. So All right. Thank you everybody for coming, and please do leave some comments about what you would like to do in the future or questions that you have. All right. We'll see you later.